We are live.
Hi, everybody.
Okay,
Hi,
great.
Armin. Hi, Rivka.
Hello. Good. The StreamYard
Is it
is
working
working.
today?
Yeah, it's working. I'm seeing Ghost Bunny here. Yeah, look.
See,
Everybody.
2021 is already better. My audio was good.
Yeah, your audio is really good. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So we're going to be covering the news on atheism, politics, religion, culture, and everything in between. So yeah, do we have any announcements before? Oh yeah, we do have an announcement. We are very close to getting 300 patrons, so that means that we will be able to get started on our blasphemous animation very soon. So yeah, last time I checked, we were at 290 something.
291.
Yes, that's crazy.
That's crazy, guys. That means we only had a net loss of 2 patrons.
Right.
Which, when we grew by 100 patrons, which is more than we've experienced, like, maybe ever in the span of 1 month. It's insane, and I'm so thankful to everyone.
Should I show people the blasphemous, the latest one that we have had? Yeah, let me really quickly just show them.
Really quickly.
All right, this is the latest draft.
This is all we can show.
This is censored. It's very censored because we can't show the full thing. But if you're a patron, you have access to the uncensored version of this. Okay.
Wait, I love what Reed said. Reed is saying only 2 patrons found God.
Yeah.
Technically, there was a net loss of more people, but we gained back over 10 in the span of 1 day. So
yeah, because our art is so good, guys. We are making one blasphemous art every single week, and as a patron, you have access to the uncensored version of these. They're very, very juicy. Okay, so link to our Patreon in the description. And very soon we're going to start making animation version of these blasphemous art. So just look forward to that. So there's that. And just before we start, I also have to mention that you could get a free copy of my book, Why There Is No God. You could get a free copy.
Here it is.
Yes. Link in the description. No, it's okay. It's okay. Link in the description. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Anyways, enough with the fluff. Let's get into the meat.
I do actually own your book, Armin. It's just on the atheist shelf in my bookshelf.
Oh, nice. Good. Okay. All right. Let's get to the news. Can we clap?
Let's clap because it is the first news, even though it's not
first news.
First news. Okay, guys. Urgent action. Ex-Muslim atheist Zara K arrested. #Justice for Zara K. So this is really important because this involves someone who's a member of our community and a personal friend of ours. So ex-Muslim and feminist activist Zara K, the founder of Faithless Hijabi, was arrested in Tanzania on December 28th, where she was held in police custody without a clear indication of charges for 32 hours. She is well known for her activism supporting ex-Muslim women and questioning Muslim women who are ostracized for leaving Islam. Zara was bailed on the 29th of December 2020. She faces the following charges. 1, social media posts deemed to be critical of John Magufuli, the president of Tanzania. 2, not returning her Tanzanian passport after gaining Australian citizenship. And 3, using a SIM card not registered in her name, as it was registered in a family member's name. Sources tell Atheist Republic that these charges are politically motivated, and they allege that they likely originate from Zara's former Shia community, the Koja Shia Ithnasheri Jamaat. Atheist Republic and the International Coalition of Ex-Muslims calls upon the Tanzanian government to immediately drop all charges against Zara K. And guys, here's where it's important. Everyone watching this, I made it super easy for you. You can help. You can help Zara by contacting your local Tanzanian and Australian consulates and embassies and politely ask authorities to investigate why she was arrested and to drop all charges. So I made this easy for you guys. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find all the necessary contact information for the Tanzanian and Australian authorities in the link that is at the top of the description. It probably says like help Zara K in all caps at the top. And at the bottom of this press release that was issued by the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain, it lists all the contact information for your local consulates and embassies. It lists who to tag on Twitter, who to email, and necessary like phone numbers and hashtags that you can use as we undertake this campaign to help defend Zara and prevent this deprivation of her civil liberties, basically. So in terms of the charges that she's facing, one of them, the first one, is social media posts against the president. Okay, obviously, this is a free speech issue. Yes, David is saying email is free. Act now. Yes, David. And I know David has emailed his authorities in the UK, and I appreciate you for that, David. And also, he has a really good YouTube channel. So, like I said, she made posts that were critical of the president of Tanzania. These posts, I've seen them. They're very lightly critical. And she made these posts while she was living in London. Okay, so she wasn't even in Tanzania at the time that these were made. And obviously, this is a major free speech issue, a free expression issue, that she's being punished for criticizing the president for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in Tanzania. In terms of the second charge of not returning her Tanzanian passport after gaining Australian citizenship, she or her team says that she didn't return her passport because it was lost. And so she has never used it again after gaining Australian citizenship. So she has never presented herself to be a Tanzanian citizen again, which she no longer is. And in terms of the final charge of not using a SIM card, or using a SIM card that was not registered in her name, it just is such a ridiculous charge, because if you were in a country that you don't live in for a period of time, it makes sense to not register a SIM card in your name. You know, just do it if someone you're visiting. Like, it's ridiculous. So yes, failure to register SIM cards. It says failure to register SIM cards legislation has been used to persecute other high-profile cases in the country as well. And the team that I've been involved with in helping Zara in this situation, we believe, like I said before, that it's politically motivated, because the nature of these charges are such that they are likely to be initiated by a specific group who has threatened her with death previously. And the atheist pastor is saying it sounds as though they were just looking for an excuse to arrest her. Yes, so that's why we say that these are politically motivated.
Rivka.
So just to take a little more information out there for people when they're thinking about writing their consulates and things like that, embassies rather. It's important to remember that Tanzania is a signatory to the 1966 International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Now, I'm not seeing it on the list, but when I did look it up, I noticed that they were, maybe it's Republic of, but when I looked it up earlier, now I'm just got a list of people, but they're signatories to different, I'm going to look this up more so I can be more specific, but to different human rights covenants and treaties that they've signed. So they have an international obligation to a lot of these things. So that's something that's important to remember. The other thing is that even if these charges were actual none of these are worth 32 hours in jail. I mean, these are the majority, like the SIM card or the failing to a fine, and you move on your way. So it seems like it's very trumped up charges that they trying to make look for something in order to hold her. And yeah, I was going to mention the SIM card thing. I think that that's a big way a lot of authoritarian regimes clamp down on speech or freedom of expression, thought, conscience, is through a lot of these digital laws, whether it's the SIM card or specific platforms or what you can and can't say on specific platforms. That's, I've noticed, something that's been used quite often in a lot of other charges, of a similar political nature, in terms of not, actually of substance. It's a nothing burger, really.
Oh, this reminds me. Tomorrow, so that is Sunday, January 3rd, at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So Atheist Republic's Canadian consulates is having a united meeting. So we are having a united action meeting for our Canadian consulates about what we can do for Zara. This will include, I think it would be really productive for us to do letter writing during this time. So if you are a member of our Canadian consulates, or if you would like to become a member of our Canadian consulates, go to our website, look for the local groups or Canadian or just consulates page, and you'll find information on how to join those Facebook groups. And then once you're in the Facebook group, you can see how to register for this event. But we will be brainstorming together with our Canadian community about how we can unite across the Canadian nation, to help Zara. And someone was asking for like a script or a draft for email and tweets. Check out my Twitter if you want to see just like tweets that you can use as copy pastas, basically. But I think we're going to be spending that time to write letters for Zara and craft a script that I think will be very good and direct, that other people can use. So
answers what Andy is saying right here.
Actually, yeah, that's good. But I wanted to make a point about concerns about politeness and how to word it. Yeah, I mean, I actually sent a few emails, and as I was saying to my two esteemed colleagues earlier, that I basically took what was said in the press release and just, please let this serve as an urgent call to action concerning, Zara K and the charges against her. Please, we're asking you, please let her leave the country and drop all the charges immediately. And then I just reiterated again. But one thing that I want to say, when you're writing these letters, it's kind of interesting and I think important to say something on the lines of, I look forward to hearing from you about what action you're taking, to investigate this critical and urgent matter. I look forward to hearing, how you're going to move forward on some of the things I'm concerned about. Some sort of way that these people realize that this isn't just a one-off. And that's what's nice about doing it individually. Yes, we should definitely do group ones, but I think when people become flooded with just some person in wherever in the world, and then it becomes, it increases exponentially, it becomes noticed, versus like the sort of sign thing. Those are important too. Like, we shouldn't forget about that, but I think it is important to do it. And I actually even called and left messages on the embassy's answering machines. And I basically just said what the press release, and if you're not comfortable doing this, you don't have to, but I left my number and I said, please call me back if you have any questions about, why I'm calling. And I really want to hear from you to know about what action you're taking.
Can I just say I'm so proud of how everybody is getting together.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me do the cringe thing that people say. I'm so proud of our community. Wait, no, just no, but I am.
You have to say they show up. That's what
No.
everybody.
No, but I am actually. I know this is kind of like a cringy thing to say, but the way that the ex-Muslims and atheist activists got together and multiple different organizations, being led by ex-Muslims of Great Britain, the way and ex-MNA and Atheist Republic, how they all got together and organized and came up with a strategy so fast, responding, like getting in touch with the people, the expertise, with the people that know the relevant people. Like it was so, the behind the scenes, the people, like we are like, and this is like not even very significant compared to other groups of people. Like we're starting to become more structured, we're starting to become more connected, we're starting to put our disagreements, like because we have a lot of internal disagreements and internal fighting and some drama here and there between different atheist groups and different ex-Muslim groups. But when it comes to something that matters, when it comes to going and protecting somebody from our community, we just ignore all of that and work together. And I think this shows that we're becoming more and more organized, and hopefully this, like maybe 5 or 10 years from now, we are even more efficient at going out and protecting one of our people if they get in trouble. Like I'm hoping that this becomes sets a precedent and becomes a role model for how to keep on doing this and improving it, right? And even faster next time. So this is really good.
So to close, I would like to say thank you to everyone who in our community has reached out to me, bringing this to my attention. I mean, I was aware, but it really fills me with joy that people are constantly bringing it to my attention, that they want me to know about it and they want me to get involved. I am getting involved. I'm very involved, but we can't be public about a lot of stuff. I'm also very, I really appreciate all the concern that everyone has extended about Zara. It means so much to us. I'm sure once she's able to communicate with people, it'd mean a lot to her. And I just want everyone to know that all the stops are being pulled out, okay? All stops are being pulled out, but that also means that we need you to get involved. So, link in the description below, right at the top. Do it. Do it now.
Yeah, I want to say something about what Armin said. Yeah, I think it's great. I think being more organized allows you to be more effectual. And I also really would like to just, give us all a big attaboy, girl, whatever, about the way that people can put aside differences to work on a specific problem that affects all of us. And I think that that's a really good lesson for us in our daily lives, and then in politics and all these things, that we all share common problems, right? And so how we focus on that, I think, is what really makes things effectual, helpful, brings people together, and, is a good, as Armin said, precedent and a good model.
Yes, so Suha is sharing the link, and also don't forget to join a Canadian consulate if you are Canadian or Canadian citizen, and so you can talk to me and directors of our board about how we can take direct action tomorrow. So go check that out too.
Pacific Standard Time, you said? Pacific?
Yeah.
10 a.m. Pacific? Okay.
Okay, so can I clap for the next news?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Next news.
Pakistan threatens Google and Wikipedia for sharing sacrilegious content. Okay, guys, I want you to take one guess about what minority community this involves.
Ahmadi?
Yes,
No.
of course it involves anti-Ahmadi bigotry, okay? Of course, because they are so predictable. So okay.
And so much bigotry towards Ahmadis.
Yeah, it's I wish it wasn't so predictable. So Pakistan has sent oh my god, rewind. Pakistan has sent threatening notices to internet giants Google and Wikipedia over sacrilegious content such as caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad and an unauthentic version of the Quran found on the Google Play Store. The Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, or PTA, issued a statement on Twitter declaring concern over, quote, misleading search results associated with, quote, the present Caliph of Islam, referring to a Wikipedia article portraying the current leader of the Ahmadiyya community, Misra Masroor Ahmad, as a Muslim. The inauthentic Quran that raised alarm amongst Pakistani authorities is a variation of the holy book used by the Ahmadiyya community, which is an extremely persecuted minority in Pakistan. So this is just typical. And then Imran Khan comes before the international stage and condemns, Macron in France for Islamophobia, calls for an international end to Islamophobia when his government's constitution is involved in takfiring an entire minority community. So it's just ridiculous. It's laughable. And it would be even funnier if this anti-Ahmadi bigotry did not result in the targeted assassinations of random Ahmadi civilians in Pakistan, who are literally just murdered on their street, outside of banks, outside of their homes, just for being Ahmadi. And yeah, they are declared non-Muslims by their own freaking government. It's really severe. So do you guys have any
Well,
commentary?
I think one of my favorite lines in the whole article was where it says the Pakistani regulator said that in the case of the platforms, they remain non-compliant. So it seems like, it's almost like a dog and pony show in a way, just to make sure, we just want everybody to know that we hate Ahmadis, Ahmadis, that's basically what it is. And they were saying it's false, it's misleading. It's just very, it seems like, man yells at cloud.
I love Kate.
And it is laughable. It is very laughable. It's 2021, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Katie is saying, I love Susie's mini quizzes before reading the news and how it's so easy to answer. Yeah. Okay. Obviously the bigotry and violence that this community faces is not funny at all. I take the persecution of religious minorities very seriously. What is funny, patently funny, is Pakistan thinking that Google or Wikipedia gives a crap. Like, oh my god.
Maybe they do. Pakistan is a huge market for them. They saw how China managed to intimidate Facebook. And also Pakistan managed to get Facebook, for example, to go against blasphemy. So they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a lot of people that Facebook, Google, and Wikipedia, they don't want them to be censored over a country that big. So they do have some influence there, more than other countries. So unfortunately, these tech giants might actually listen to them. So we don't know.
It's so frustrating. I remember I went to a hearing of the United States Council on International Religious Freedom earlier in December, and they were talking about how companies that are based in the U.S. that are present themselves to be, typically very progressive, need to be held accountable for the ways in which they bend to really regressive and hurtful policies. Yeah, I think there needs to be more pressure and more calling them out for when they do just crumble to these things, because it's ridiculous.
It's more of this idea that we've been talking about privilege too. Like, so you don't like this, but then go make your own internet search company and run it for free. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just this idea that somehow people's religious sentiment has some sort of special status and is sacrosanct. And it's just not true. And when they cave to things like that, I'm sure that it's not about the religious sentiment. It's about, the religion of money, which is the only true religion because it's the only one everyone believes. To quote, to paraphrase Yuval Harari, but it gives the message that they are submitting to this religious privilege, that they're willing to do that. They're willing to submit.
Do you have any commentary, Armin?
No, I was just showing you guys some of the comments people made. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to the next news. Can we clap for the next news?
Oh no.
Ooh, okay. Next news.
Next news. Every year, roughly 1,000 Pakistani girls are forcibly converted to Islam. Every year, nearly 1,000 young girls from religious minority communities are forced to convert to Islam in Pakistan. These marriages are under the legal age and non-consensual. Human rights activists say the practice has grown during pandemic lockdowns, as girls are out of school and therefore more visible, and bride traffickers are more active online as families are more in debt. Most girls are from Hindu communities in the southern province of Sindh. Child protection activists say forced conversions thrive on an unchecked money-making web that involves clerics who solemnize the marriages, magistrates who legalize the unions, and corrupt police who refuse to investigate or even sabotage investigations. Those who report forced conversions may be charged with blasphemy, and the girls who are able to escape are often persecuted as apostates.
If someone was reading some epic that somebody found buried in an archaeological site from, 500, 1,000 years ago, I guarantee you the word bride trafficker would be in it, or some version of that. It's just so... just the sound of it really just, it shows the lack of, sense of modernity in terms of even any of it. I don't know. It just bothers me to hear it because it just seems so really backwards and old. And
yeah, it's terrible. Armin, do you have any feedback?
Just to be clear, just so that you guys don't get confused, this is not the love jihad people talk about in India. This is completely different. This is something that we have been highlighting as a major issue in Pakistan, and something that not enough people are trying to fight against. There are people that are actively, but not enough, and the government in Pakistan is failing its own citizens. But again, don't get distracted by Hindutva when they say love jihad. They're trying to use the tragedy and the misery of the women and girls who are going through this for their own political agenda, and they're not helping at all in addressing the situation. They're in fact making it worse by distracting you, by trying to promote their own political ethno-nationalistic, anti-Muslim, bigoted views, and they have their own version of discrimination against Muslims in India, and they're trying to they are using Hindu women in Pakistan who are actually being kidnapped and forced into marriage. Instead of helping them, they're trying to use that for spreading their own evil agenda. So, and they're not helping those girls. They're making their situation even more difficult because they're distracting from the real solutions to this problem. So be mindful of that. If anybody using the word love jihad is what they're actually, instead of going out and fighting against the kidnappings and and the non-consensual, I'm not going to say the RAPE word here on YouTube because YouTube is sensitive, but instead of fighting that, they're actually going and separating Hindu and Muslim couples in India who are consensually together and want to get married with each other and love each other. They're going out and separating them and making interfaith marriage illegal in Uttar Pradesh, in the name of protecting Hindu women which is not even the same. Like, they're using these stories from Pakistan to go and actually fight real love and real marriages and consensual relationships, right? Those people are evil. Do not let them steal a narrative. This is a real thing in Pakistan. What they're addressing is not the same thing. But go on, Rivka.
I was just going to say, you're saying, they're destroying real love but they're also destroying individual liberty. They're robbing people of their ability to consent to something. They're robbing people of their choice. They're forcing people into a situation where they could potentially fear for their physical selves. So they may do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do because of the social climate. And it's heinous.
There was one more thing I wanted to highlight in regards to Pakistan specifically. So less about how this real tragedy that happens in neighboring Pakistan influences India. One thing that we've covered a lot of individual cases before on the news, but this is just highlighting the general trend and how many girls are affected by this every year. One thing that I didn't know was that people who bring this to authorities' attention could be accused of blasphemy themselves, which I think goes to show you like how much this is a communal sickness. Like, this is if you bringing a kidnapping and sexual assault to the authorities' attention can make you accused of a crime that is punishable by death in that country. Like, that's how severe the situation is. And this article also highlights something that I think is so sad. So they're talking about the case of this one girl, Neha, and they are saying, so it details what happened to her and how she escaped. And then it says, but when she arrived home, Neha found her family had turned against her. I went home and I cried to my mama about my aunt and what she said and the threats, but she didn't want me anymore, said Neha. Her parents feared what her new husband might do to them, she said. Further, the prospects of a marriage for a girl in conservative Pakistan who has been married or married before are slim, and human rights activists say they are often seen as a burden. And so these girls, if they are able to escape, they can be seen as a burden to their families. They are ostracized from their communities at best. At worst, they will be actively sought after to be put to death for apostatizing from Islam after they were forcibly converted into it. It's just so tragic. And so this one girl that they were talking about eventually found protection in a Christian church in Karachi. But there are other girls who have had to go into hiding after they escaped their marriages because of the persecution they face as apostates. It's just horrible. It's barbaric, and it's so tragic.
Yeah, I think that while I was speaking about India and the false, love jihads, I think the comment I made fits here too, because it really illustrates the social coercion that happens even, after, or being rejected because this has happened, so all of this, and then, again, robbing people of their liberty. They're forcing people to submit to something, and it is also heinous. But what I thought was one thing that I found interesting and potentially a good sign, I so to speak, is that this was an ABC News. And it was highlighting kind of the whole problem, the scope of the problem, how many people don't know about the problem in a mainstream news network, which I thought was something you don't see as much. And I'm glad that happened.
All right, so let me really quickly. You got a super
I
chat.
just want to highlight one more thing because I thought this was interesting. One thing that the article highlighted was that, and I think this is an important point, the goal is to secure virginal brides rather than to necessarily seek new converts to Islam, which is part of why young girls are targeted. It's just because of the likelihood of them being virgins. And that, however, does not particularly preclude in an unusual sense to minorities. However, minority girls are targeted because they already face just systemic discrimination within Pakistan in general. So the likelihood of police rallying behind them and authorities taking this seriously is not as likely. But D gave us a really, really, really nice super chat that just warmed my heart. D, thank you for the $5, saying this is for Susanna for jumping into Atheist Republic so sincerely in the past year and how she has championed humanist values. Well done and thank you. D, this warms my heart, man.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful message. Thank you so much,
This
D.
is really, really nice. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so really quickly, guys, because we need to move on to the next news. I'm just going to read some of our members' comments. Secular Proton is saying, I think the awareness of this issue has increased quite a lot recently, so that's good news at least. Katie is saying, correct, this is not love jihad, and even if it was, there are already laws against this. Pakistan is effing horrible and has been so for ages. Where was the other one? No, that's not for us. Yeah, there was another one here.
Go ahead.
Soraya saying it feels like love jihad in India is a backlash or revenge to this act of converting into Islam, because India has a history of anti-Pakistani sending. Whether you take, this is collective punishment and is absolutely moronic and evil. I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to highlight it. Anyways, what are you going to say?
I forget.
All right, let's go. We have to go to the next news. And can I clap for the next news? No. Next news.
Okay, next news. Saudi feminist activist Loujain al-Hathloul sentenced to nearly 6 years in prison in Saudi Arabia. According to Saudi state-linked media, one of the kingdom's most prominent women's rights activists, Loujain al-Hathloul, was found guilty on Monday, December 28th, and sentenced to 5 years and 8 months by the kingdom's notorious anti-terrorism court. For those new here, I don't say the full word, which refers to things like boom, boom, because YouTube doesn't like it. So an anti-terrorism court. She was prosecuted under vague counter-terrorism laws. Her charges included pursuing a foreign agenda, agitating for change, using the internet to harm public order, and cooperating with entities and individuals that have committed crimes under anti-terror laws. She has been jailed since May of 2018, and 34 months of her sentencing will be suspended based on her several years of pretrial detention, where she endured sexual abuse, numerous hunger strikes, and stretches of solitary confinement. Her family said that she will be prohibited from leaving the nation for 5 years and required to complete 3 years of probation upon her release. She is set to be released roughly 2 months after the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden, a move that analysts say is likely to be a point of contention between the new U.S. administration and Saudi's ruling elites. So for those who are not familiar, Loujain, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, is famous for being an activist who fought against the male guardian system in Saudi Arabia and also fought for the right for women to be able to drive in Saudi Arabia. And she was imprisoned just months before Saudi Arabia actually made it legal for women to drive, which has been interpreted as a way of the kingdom's ruling elites to demonstrate that, no, you don't get to drive for change. Change only comes from us down. Okay. So that's some background on her activism. She essentially is one of the reasons why Saudi Arabia has these rights for women that the KSA now goes on the global stage as a marketing scheme to show how they're reforming, right? Meanwhile, she's been found to be a terrorist, basically. So go ahead, you guys.
I just want to, keep going with what you were saying about the government's message of like, you don't get to demand anything. All is given to you by us. It's apparent because they charged her with advocating for change. That is one
agitating.
Okay. Sorry. Agitating. Regardless, the same thing. Like, so you don't have a right as a citizen to try and change something about your country that you don't like, or to petition the government for redress of grievances, or, no. The only thing that you can do is be passive and wait for it to be given to you. But the thing is, power concedes nothing, ever. So her doing what she did, regardless of them then turning it around, it still shows that she did rather, have an effect.
Oh, 100%. Real quickly, Hara Sultana's here saying terrorism. Guys, everyone follow Hara Sultan on YouTube, or if you're an Urdu speaker, follow Pakistani Mulhid if you want to learn more about Pakistan and anti-Islam activism, and that highlights issues in India and Pakistan a lot. So hi Haras, good to see you here. A celebrity is here.
I just wanted to say we skipped one. We're on 5.
Yeah, I know.
We're okay.
I'm sorry. So a couple things I wanted to say about this. Like, obviously, I think it's completely wrong that she has been found guilty of these charges, right? For those who haven't been following the case, she was in, basically, I can't remember if it was exactly a civil court, but it was a different kind of court, and she had been in that court system for the majority of her detainment. And then recently, she was very suddenly moved to this anti-terrorism court. So she's been prosecuted and found guilty as a terrorist against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right? A lot of people have been widely condemning her sentencing, and it is insane that she was found guilty of these things. However, I do think it is positive, and maybe this is just me being naive or trying really hard to find anything good about this, is that they actually are suspending most of her sentence because she already was detained. Which just, it makes me feel gross that like that's the best we can do here. But what do you guys think about what seems like very thoughtfully, like the timing of this seems to be very strategic in terms of KSA's relationship with the United States? Like, she's going to be released only 2 months into Biden's administration.
Yeah, anybody that congratulates the government of Saudi Arabia for any of this has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
This is all just a PR move. Again, you can be happy for the people who are benefiting from this move without congratulating Saudi Arabia. Every time they do something like this, it's behind the scenes they're doing a lot more. Like this is very interesting because this MBS and whatever he's been doing, he has committed a lot more crimes and has been spreading a lot of more misery, torture, assassination, starvation of children, spreading of disease as a weapon, and people are actually congratulating him for letting women drive or something. Like, it's completely insane. You could be happy for some women in Saudi Arabia that now can drive, while at the same time not give any credit or congratulate this government. This government uses this media attention grabbing reforms as a way to cover the higher number of crimes that they're committing compared to even before, right? Like, women can drive now right after you go on arrest. You eliminate your political competition or any form of dissent, and you just feed the media with something so that you could misdirect attention away from some actual other issues. You go and kill a whole bunch of general, while at the same time you let women be part of the military, or like women, now you have the theater in Saudi Arabia, or women can go now into stadiums. Now all of this is covered for a whole bunch of other stuff that is they want you not to pay attention to. Okay, again, you could at the same time be like, it's great that in Saudi Arabia people could go to theater now, but please, like, you could be happy about that at the same time as knowing that this government is evil, and the crimes that they're committing is astronomically higher than what any of these reforms could represent. Anyways,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was just going to say, like, what you were saying about, oh, congratulations for, it just seems like, so someone's throwing you some scraps and you're supposed to congratulate them while you're sitting on the floor starving and they're eating a big meal. They throw you a little scrap and you're supposed to congratulate them for, a tiny bit of humanity. No, I find that kind of attitude kind of disgusting. Really? You decided to get into the 18th, 19th century? Ooh.
Yeah. Really quickly, Render unto Caesar gave us a $5 super chat with no comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, just to clarify, when I said that I'm like glad that she's getting out in 2 months, that is in no way me thanking the Saudi regime for doing so. That's literally just so that she will no longer be in an environment where she is being tortured, sexually abused, and so forth. And she still has to complete 5 years probation, and then 3 years probation, and then an additional 2 more years after that she can't even leave the country. So I'm hoping that she gets the F out of Saudi as soon as possible.
I like how Queen Fabi says, "Woman." Every time I leave, she starts yelling, "Woman, take over." That's like
Del Cui is saying Susanna slowly but surely conquering this channel. Okay.
Secular Putin saying, why do they do activism when they know it will end badly? Because they care, and because of every single right and freedom you guys enjoy today is because somebody took that risk, right? So
someone bled for that.
Yeah. What was another? Let me see. Member comments. KSA needs Papa US protection from Iran, hence the PR stunt. Yeah, that's a very good summary. Katie saying, take away a big chocolate from a kid, and when they cry for over an hour, give them a small candy and expect them to be congratulated for giving a candy to a crying kid. That's Saudi Arabia. I very much agree with this analogy, because a lot of these basic rights that have been taken away from is basically so you could give it back when you're in trouble, right? However, I do not like the analogy, because
it involves sugar.
Do not give candy or chocolate to children. That's very harmful. Don't poison your kids. Hossein is saying, one of the biggest disappointments of Trump's era was his buddy attitude with Saudi. Yes, I agree with that.
That's likely to change under Biden, which is why.
Hopefully. Chop, chop, chop. Next person, please. What is this? I don't know what that means. Oh, actually, Katie predicted what I'm gonna say. Don't give a lecture on
Yeah.
sugar candy, please. Nope. There's no way. No, I'm sorry. I have to. I'm sorry. You have to. No, I'm not sorry. What am I talking about?
We all
All
knew
right.
it was coming.
The kid's gonna eat candy at their friend's house anyways. You know that, don't you?
Not if I fill them with good food, so that they
For
even if they.
propaganda,
No, no, no. If I
anti-candy
No, I'm gonna just make sure that they're so full before they go there, so when they eat candy, they eat less candy. Anyways, well, we gotta
Oh
find them.
wow, we got another super chat from D. Thank you, D, saying women leaving religion is so important. Highlight them every time. They are the biggest oomph to tradition. That's very true.
Hmm.
So let's move to the next news, except we actually got to go backwards because I actually skipped one.
Yeah, this is the one that I said I can't clap for, but then another news comes. All right, next news.
Okay, next news. Indian man beheads 7-year-old nephew in a human sacrifice. In Bihar, India, a 7-year-old boy was beheaded by his 35-year-old uncle on the advice of a tantric in an attempt to cure his 3-month-old sick daughter. Police report that the boy, I think this is pronounced Saraya Kumar, was on his way home, back home from a shop when his uncle, identified as Tufani Yadav, decapitated him with a sword in a single stroke in front of several other villagers. He then fled on the spot. Yadav sought a tantric's guidance after his 2-month-old son died last year, and the tantric advised him that sacrificing his nephew would solve all his problems. The accused wife, mother, and father were all aware of the plot. Yadav and 4 others have been arrested in connection with this case. This is, obviously we don't have to say that this is horrific. I think, okay, I don't know how to say this. Basically, like every time human sacrifice is in the news that comes to my attention, it involves tantra in some way. What's with that, guys? What is with that? We highlighted a similar story a few weeks ago. However, I think this one is even worse because this is a person's family member. I don't know if that's fair to say, actually. I don't know. It depends on how you calculate things. But one thing that makes this worse is that the grandparents of this child were aware of what was going to happen, and they allowed it to happen.
Yeah, it's so heinous, so horrific, and I find so he's going to kill this kid, and it's going to what? Make his kid come back to life? What does he mean by solve all his problems?
So he had a 2-month-old son, or a son that was 2 months old at the time that he died last year, and then he has a 3-month-old daughter now who is sick of the same disease.
Right. So it's going to stop. Yeah, right. I get it. What you have to give some soul to the, the blood sacrifice god. It's so crazy that, so we're having a discussion earlier about bride traffickers, and now we're talking about people who are sacrificing. I don't understand what's happening, like people going backwards. But I also find that it's interesting, almost as if maybe these people advising them under the guise of Tantra, it's like they're almost like in a cult, or they're some sociopaths themselves who are using, it just seems so creepy on a level I'm having a hard time being articulate about it at all. And then the fact that he fled gives you the sense that he knows it's wrong. It's not like he's doing it and he's a true So where's the disconnect between deciding to do it but still knowing, oh, I better run so I don't get found? it's very, very effed up.
Yeah, I think, well, Katie has an interesting comment here. I think the fact that so many of us in India are kind of desensitized to this is really bad. Yeah, it's oh, and then she's also clarifying Tantra is black magic in is black magic and esoteric Hindu and Buddhist tradition, for those who don't know. It's just absolutely brutal. And the fact this isn't like logical or rational, but the fact that this was a conspiracy like amongst the family just makes it so much worse to me. Although people could argue that the other story that we highlighted where they basically kidnapped a random girl off the street and then, took out her liver is even worse, but
these are people that should have a vested interest in this child safety too.
Yeah, protection.
Right. I mean, if he's the nephew, then that means they're all related. So like, where is this go? Like, how do you, it's so sad and gross.
Katie is saying this is not as common as it used to be, of course, but it's still common enough for this news to not be extremely shocking to most people. People are like, yeah, it's effed. And then Optimus Prime is saying these tantrics should be imprisoned. I believe the tantric that was involved in this case has been imprisoned. The father who did this, or the victim's uncle who did this, and then his wife and his father and the cousin that brought the uncle to this tantric have all been arrested in the case. I think the father of this guy, the grandfather of the victim, is still on the run, based on what I read. And then Secular Poton is saying that's why when people ask why do your superstitions don't hurt anyone, I think you're trying to say like
he's forgot a word, but yeah,
you're trying to say like people say that superstitions aren't harmful, but they clearly are. Trells is saying if this is not the definition of that line from Voltaire, quote, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you quit atrocities, I do not know what is. That's very well put. Do you have Selva Kumar is saying I'm feeling deeply ashamed and sad. I can't express how disgusting this act is, how the family members haven't stopped him. Yeah,
I don't think you should be ashamed though, because why? Yeah, I mean, Silva is from Silva. If you're from India, you shouldn't be ashamed for things that has nothing to do with you, just because they happen to share a country with you. Like you shouldn't. You should only feel pride or shame for your own actions or for the things that you have done. Like it doesn't make sense for me to feel pride for things, accomplishments by the people that just happen to be born within a certain distance, within the borders that I was born in, and it doesn't make any sense to feel ashamed as well. Like the people that are born in some proximity to you do not represent you. You represent you. This is the difference between being individualistic or collectivist. Yeah,
Katie is saying also human sacrifice is present in Hindu scriptures. Don't make any mistake and don't be fooled by people who say that this is not Hinduism. I'm gonna call you Swampy or Swamp Nil Verte. I don't know. Coincidentally, most of these sacrifices are made to Kali. Not so sexy after all. Yes, this is one thing I have been learning and realizing. Of course, the articles that I read didn't mention, if this was done for any deity in particular. And Frank is saying Kali Purana says children should be sacrificed. So,
I think that one or two of the other, unfortunately, previous cases of this kind of behavior, in one of them I think they did mention Kali, and that I definitely know. And then also the fact that you were saying that oh god, now I can't remember what I was going to say, but just about it being for the goddess. Oh, I know, it was making me think of like assassins, where that word comes from, where they have a religious cult that kills people for their, God, it just kind of, not that these are necessarily the same, but it kind of reminded me of that almost, as if you have these directors getting minions to do these acts to satisfy the bloodlust of their, special friend.
We got a super chat from Maggie. Thank you so much, Maggie. Maggie saying, great point, Armin. Don't be embarrassed at your country's mistakes. Yes, and also don't be proud of them either, unless you had something to do with it.
True.
Right? Then be very proud of it.
But
very
thank
proud
you for the $5.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for
Goes funny saying, don't mock our child sacrificing mother.
No, not all. Some and not generalizing. But yes.
Oh, Haras Sultan is saying, thank you for the $8 Haras. Saying, have you guys spoken about the temple burning in Pakistan? No, but that's super important. I think we should maybe do a full stream on that, or if not, we're definitely going to cover it in the news next week. Yes,
and this is another reason why you should subscribe to everything Haras Sultan. Everything Haras Sultan, whatever channel he has, you need to be subscribed to it because he's on top of these things. Go subscribe to it. But yes, thank you so much for mentioning that we need to cover this. Yeah, that's a good input. Thank you for
it. Just didn't make it into our news cycle. Is a couple. I'm not going to get into how I do the news, but yes.
But we do. We should get. We should have it. So we shouldn't be one of our news segments. We should have a live stream on that probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to it.
It's
thank
wild.
Yes. Oh yeah, and we need to also do a news. And we also need to cover Abdullah Samir. We need to cover that as well. Mm-hmm. Katie is saying, Katie is saying, true, Kali is usually the goddess most of the sacrifices are made to. Goat sacrifice in Kali temples is still very common in India because human sacrifice is illegal, of course. So before. Yeah, of course. But that means that Kali used to get the highest number of human sacrifices before it was illegal. So that's Jesus, right?
You
know how to pick them.
Well, she's dating the destroyer, and she's a destroyer and a creator.
All right, guys, let's not. I don't want to make jokes about this because this is a very bad tragic news. But yeah. Anyways, let's go. Anyways. No, guys, like I'm not highlighting some of the jokes as well because I don't know. This is kind of like, okay, cool. Let's move on to the next news. Can I clap the next news? No, I'm not gonna. Next news.
Okay, next news. UK Foreign Office tells British-Iranian hostage, "You have no right to our help." British citizens who are wrongfully jailed and tortured abroad will have, quote, no legal right to consular assistance, end quote, or protection from the state, the United Kingdom's Foreign Office recently wrote in a letter to Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe's lawyers. Arrested in Iran in 2016, Mrs. Zaghari-Ratcliffe, 41, is a British-Iranian dual national and a charity worker. She has been jailed for 5 years on accusations of plotting to overthrow the Iranian regime. The UK's government stated that it had no legal obligation to assist citizens dishonestly accused of a crime while traveling with a British passport. Despite United Nations experts finding that Zaghari-Ratcliffe's mistreatment in detention amounts to torture, Sarah Broughton, the head of consular affairs within the Foreign Office, said the government can, quote, cannot investigate torture or mistreatment allegations, end quote.
So what's the point of the UK? Like
exactly, why have a passport? Why be if that's what you're supposed to do? That's why you have a consulate. That's why you have embassies. And there in the article they said that, well, they haven't responded to us, so we can't do anything. And I'm like, so you're just going to let it go then because someone's not answering you? It's as if you're that's consent then for them to do whatever. So, okay, we're not going to answer you. So you just won't bother with us anymore. I'm utterly shocked. I mean, they said, yeah, they're powerless because they haven't granted their request. Well, so you keep asking. That's the whole point. You up the pressure.
Yeah. I mean, what's the worth of, like, you basically broadcasted to the whole world that a UK citizenship is worthless compared to a citizenship in any EU countries or United States or Canada or Australia. You just advertise, like, when it comes to protecting your citizens, when it comes to looking after them, you are, as a government, are worthless. Like, if you are an American citizen, you can know that they will come after anybody. They will use all their resources, all their might, everything they can. If you are a U.S. citizen and they come after you, they have to deal with the United States government. But United Kingdom just told the world that, yeah, our UK citizens around the world are sitting ducks because we don't give a crap about our citizens. We're not going to defend them the way other countries defend their citizens, not the way Canada defends their citizen, not the way. I mean, look at this. Look what Canada did. Canada, over one of their dual citizens, who died in Iran, we don't know how she died. She probably died in prison from extreme violence or something like that, right? Over one dual citizen, Iranian and Canadian citizen, Canada they removed their embassy. They cut ties with Iran. Complete, like, the relationship between Canada and Iran went completely dark. It was cut ties completely, trade, politics, everything, over one of their citizens. So Canada is like, our citizens matter to us. We protect your Canadian citizenship means something. Mm-hmm. Australia does the same thing. Denmark did the same. Denmark is like, even not because of the citizen of their own country, they're going because of the citizen of a fellow EU member. They're going after Iran. Denmark because of a citizen of a fellow EU member who is on death row in Iran right now. Denmark is saying we will cut all political and trade ties with Iran if this man is executed. This is how much they value. This is how they protect their own. And United Kingdom just told the whole world, your UK citizenship means nothing. It's worthless. We don't care. We don't defend our citizens. And by the way, if you are a UK citizen out of UK borders, your government just signaled to you that your ass is not protected. They're not going to protect you. You better go find a different citizenship. Go get a Canadian citizenship, because your UK citizenship does not mean that your government will protect you against harm by other governments. Go on.
I want to provide a little bit more background. So this was a letter seen by the Times UK that was given to them by Zaghari Ratcliffe's legal team. And her legal team in a letter wrote, quote, "If it really is the government's position that it has no obligation, even in the extreme and unique circumstances of Nazanin's case, then it sends a extremely alarming message to the rest of the British public." And there are other people in the UK government who have tried to pull out all the stops to protect her. For example, in 2019, the former Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt did the unusual move of granting her, who as a civilian, diplomatic protection in response to Iran's treatment of her. However, that didn't work very well because Iran does not recognize her citizen as a Briton, and therefore does not recognize any diplomatic protection that would be endured to her, right? Or imbued to her. So despite the decision to invoke the rarely used diplomatic device, this did not confer any specific legal obligations upon us, said the UK's Foreign Office. She added that the government cannot investigate torture and mistreatment allegations, and she specifically said that it does not recognize her detention as hostage taking. This is objectively hostage taking. The IRI has been engaged in hostage taking of dual nationals, but citizens in general, basically since its conception. So the fact that the government of the UK is refusing to just recognize objective reality, I don't even have words for this right now.
It's so insane to me because basically it's as if Britain has served up its citizens on a platter to anyone who wants to do anything. And sorry. And I find it absolutely just galling on top of the badness about it. But then you have this whole, our passport is worth something. We have to go back to our British, power, and we can. So it's worth this? Is this what you're saying? Is this how the Britain of old would have acted? That just throw up your hands. Here you go, everybody. Do what you want to our citizens. So as long as you're in England, you're okay. But if you leave, I mean, it's just so ridiculous, especially since they touted their power of their passport and, their old virility, so to speak. And now they've just, are impotent. They're washing their hands of their own citizens. It's absolutely heinous.
Yeah, Afshin himself is an Iranian British dual national. Afshin, never go back. Said that the fact that the Foreign Office said this made things worse for her, as Iran took it as proof that she is a spy because of their lack of extending protection to her. We also got some super chats.
Yeah, but by the way, just to be clear, Afshin does not have a mega hat on. That's a that's a Marga hat, okay, which means make Atheist Republic great again. Okay, so don't dismiss him. Okay, but
I actually resent that implication because that implies that we are not great currently, and we have to make it great. And I think we are great. So Afshin, I take offense. The atheist pastor gave us
snowflake.
I don't take offense at much, but
right. We need to go forward.
Gave us $5 saying just because they don't have to help doesn't mean they shouldn't regardless.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you.
Super chat. And Swampnil Verite gave us 75 rupees. Thank you. Saying, please cover the news about Munawar Faruqi in India. For those who don't know, he is a comedian who was recently arrested for derogatory comments about goddesses. I think even today. So we're going to talk about that next week.
Okay.
But thank you.
Member comments who tagged the Atheist Republic, secular protest saying what the F is wrong with the UK. Okay, just let me make sure that we read member comments that Atheist Republic say. Even a statement like this is dangerous. Yes, even just a statement sets a precedent, which is very dangerous. Let me see what other member comments that. Oh my god, the cats! You guys can hear the cats in my background. Oh my god.
Wait.
Whoa.
Harshit is saying Britain of old would have colonized Iran by now. That's what you're gonna go handle that, cat? Is that what you're signaling? Oh okay.
No, somebody else is doing it for me.
Yeah. Yes. So any other things? Charles is saying, according to UK politicians, the real problem with the British passport is that it was not made in the color blue. Is that true?
The way I don't think it's ever been blue.
I'm just glad I have a Canadian citizenship rather than a UK citizenship.
You know what passport is blue and has always been blue? USA!
Wait, where's mine?
No, don't show yours. What you guys are doing? No. All right. We should go to the next news. Yes, we could actually. This is good news, I think, right? Yes. What is?
Yes.
Indonesian one, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, final. Guys, this is amazing. Good news from Indonesia. Usually when we cover Indonesia, it's bad news. Good news from Indonesia. Amazing. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, wait. You're
Wait,
not going to give me a clap?
Next
news.
news.
Okay. Indonesia bans Islamic Defenders Front for terrorist links. I'm going to say it again because we cut this as clips. We say terrorist here because YouTube does not like the word involved with things such as boom boom. So now you know what I mean. According to the country's chief security minister, Indonesia has banned the controversial and politically influential hardline group, the Islamic Defenders Front, widely known by its Indonesian acronym FPI. Founded in 1998, the FPI has set itself up as a self-proclaimed moral guardian of Indonesia and is notorious for attacks on bars and the country's minority groups. It gained political prominence in 2016 when the group garnered enormous protests that eventually led to former Jakarta governor Basuki Tjahja Purnam's conviction on charges of blasphemy. On Wednesday, December 30th, the FPI was officially outlawed, effective immediately, with the security minister citing the alleged vigilantism and links to terrorism. The group no longer has any legal standing within the nation. Haris Sultan is saying, boom boom is synonymous with sex in Thailand.
Or going potty for your animals. Make a boom boom.
Well, that's also a form of terrorism. But anyways, yeah, so this is really good news for Indonesia. Basically, when you have a hardcore Islamist party outlawed from your country, I'm going to take that as fantastic. Yes.
You want to read this tweet? Somebody.
Oh, this tweet is from News Media, saying the government has declared FPI as an illegal organization and its license not renewed, arguing that they often break the law by resorting to violence, provocation, and creating division. Activities under FPI's name will not be permitted, and its use of its logo and symbols banned. Well,
okay, I think that last part is a bit too far.
Yeah,
like
that's too much.
But we can't be that picky. Like
I find it interesting that it's just effective immediately too, because most of the time legislation doesn't take effect immediately.
Yeah, I just hope that this is like sets up like Indonesia gets enough people in Indonesia go like yay, so that the government like, oh, this is popular. I could get votes like this. I could get support like this if I go against fundamentalism. It seemed like people like this, right? I mean, the secularists, the young people in Indonesia, they need to reward this, right? I think they are probably right. And this needs to be celebrated so much, both from inside Indonesia and outside of Indonesia, so that the politicians that make decisions like this see that the return on policies like this it gives them enough political capital to be worth going after. Because Indonesia is going backwards, right? So when we get a good message, even if the agenda is not good, if the purposes of it is something behind the scenes that we don't care, okay? We do care, but we still have to reward this so that more stuff like this happens. Again, but we do need to call. This is really us being picky as free speech advocates. We don't like banning symbols and logos, okay? That is too far.
Yeah.
But we don't like, again, not everything is going to happen exactly the way we want it. So we take
I do think it is important to highlight when things, even good actions that we approve of, do result in things that are threats to Enlightenment values and delegitimize free speech absolutism, which protects all of us, and especially blasphemy. Because if we want to appeal to the Indonesian government to, repeal legislation involved with prosecuting, criminalizing blasphemy, then we need to be consistent. And so that would also include removing any ban on their symbols and so forth. But yes, good news for Indonesia.
Okay, let me actually highlight this comment saying, "That's my country, and yes, Islamic Defenders Front called Front. Okay, FPI made so much mess here. They are intolerant." And somebody saying this was the best news of 2020. People are liking it. Good. All right, cool. Let me bring up the next news. I didn't have it ready, but I will have it. Is it a good news? Can we clap? No. All right, next news.
It's good news in the sense that we have more evidence against the CCP. So factories found inside China's mass internment camps in Xinjiang, China, also known as East Turkestan. BuzzFeed News has revealed that based on hundreds of satellite images, China has built over 100 new facilities in Xinjiang where it can incarcerate prisoners and force labor in factories directly on prison grounds. In August, they uncovered hundreds of compounds bearing the hallmarks of prison detention camps. Numerous were built during the last 3 years of China's rapidly escalating campaign against Muslim minorities, including ethnic Uyghurs and Kazakhs. The recently released analysis shows that at least 135 of these compounds also hold factory buildings. Out of more than 21 million square feet of facilities documented by BuzzFeed News, 14 million square feet of these new factories were constructed in 2018 alone. The Chinese government claims that these are economic advancement programs designed to move farm workers out of poverty by moving them into factory jobs. But when factories are inside internment compounds and surrounded by high walls and barbed wires, the claim that workers are there willingly is unconvincing.
So it's a forced labor camp.
Yeah, and Dirty Dancer saying the saying "never again" was complete BS.
Close, but it was better than not having that whole movement after World War II. I rather had that than not having it. But yeah, I mean,
well, some of us say never again, and we mean it. So we try to do something about it.
Yeah, no, but I agree. I mean, things have improved, but this is the closest we have gotten to back to what World War II situation is. I mean, this is very
exponentially more technologically advanced.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, this is forced labor, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, take Yahtzee Germany. I'm not gonna say this real word, right? A lot of people think like everything got bad, really, when the Hala thing happened, right? I'm not gonna say that.
The Big H.
The Big H. But as it was already horrific before that even got started. That was just like an exponential addition to the horrors of Germany at that time, right? So when people say don't compare what's happening in China to what happened in Germany at that time, it's actually very comparable to everything before the Hala thing, right? The Big H, which was already a major human rights issue even before all of that happened, right? So it is very comparable. Rivka wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think that you're right, and I think that the one thing that you hear, survivors and other activists from the Big H period talk about, and never again activists, is the things that led up to it. Yes, there was horrors, but there's also this culture of dehumanization of an entire group of people. a way of always making them somehow the other, that they're not real Chinese people, that or real Germans or whatever, and that they somehow are more loyal to their particular ethnic or religious group than they are to actually the country, and therefore they're an enemy. I mean, that sort of dynamic building in China, and that's what enabled a lot of this to get increasingly worse, because it was in a lot of places a cultural issue, or had been. And then by some parts of Germany, it actually was or Eastern Europe too, an anomaly when things weren't bad. So you have this whole history of building on this bigotry of an entire group of people, like with the Uyghurs. So yeah, it's very similar in that regard. And then the state-sponsored discrimination and bigotry as well. It's bad enough when just your neighbors don't like you and they are discriminating against you, and the state just maybe doesn't do anything. But when the state actually engages in that and codifies that into law, then yeah, it's comparable in a lot of ways.
Let me highlight a few comments because it's actually very bad. The comments are, look at this. John is saying there are factories in America, American corporate detention centers, which he means prisons. 2, slave labor is normal in dictatorial system. So this John, the idiot John, thinks United States is a dictatorial system. I mean, I don't even have the patience to respond to this right now. You go screw you. Like, you're an idiot, John. You're an idiot. Nobody is denying that United States doesn't have problems, but for you to be able to even, like, you are so beyond reason to be able to even compare that to the situation that is happening in China. It makes me like, I really don't want to give up on some people, but if I wanted to give up on some people, it would be on people like John. The fact that they see problems in the United States and compare it to dictatorial regimes like China or Iran makes these people they're beyond reason. They're so out of touch with reality. I don't even know what to tell them.
And it's so disrespectful, I think, to Uyghurs, because comparing them to criminals as if their existence is a crime. I mean, yes, there's some innocent people, whatever this, but the presumption that most people are in jail, it's because they've been charged and found guilty of a crime. Uyghurs don't have to, but what I'm saying is their existence is a crime in China, and it's not the same thing as someone who commits an illegal act. You are not being jailed for existing. They're being jailed for existing, and they have been made illegal.
Exactly. Like their customs, their practices have been made illegal. Like, because technically a lot of them are technically found to be guilty of crimes. A lot of them are retroactively found to be guilty of crimes, or they will be given a list of charges and then they have to pick out themselves what they're guilty of, right? The difference is a lot of those so-called crimes are their cultural practices, are
who they are,
tenets of their belief as Muslims specifically, which is just on a completely different level.
I just want to quickly go through these. Just one more comment. Like this, some of these Americans are so self-centered. Everything has to come back to America somehow. They cannot stand you criticizing other countries unless you make it somehow about hating on United States. Martin saying still no shots of here. Another comment like that. Still no shots of the factories inside American private prison. Then, you're like an American centrist, self-hating Americans, basically. Or Amelia, what is saying? I can't see any facts here. Just few quotes from someone. Guys, you're an idiot. If you actually go follow it, these are real investigations. Just few quotes from someone from someone. I would like to see how U.S. treating immigrants. Look at this. Treating immigrants and black people in this page. If the Atheist Republic is politically neutral, Amelia, go screw yourself. You're self-centered. You piece of crap. You're excusing violence against other people for the sake by doing whataboutism. You're a piece of garbage. You are the reason.
Navel gazing is really disgusting.
People like you are the reason why we're not taking more actions for fighting against human rights violations. And here's another.
Jaquan, wait, can I personally cuss out Jaquan?
Yeah, go on.
Jaquan White is saying all this anti-China propaganda. Excuse me, all this anti-China propaganda coming from the CIA and folks be eating it up. Oh my God. How is it CIA propaganda when we have the documentation from the Chinese government itself talking about their mass sterilization campaigns and government documentation about how they are demographically engineering the region in a way which meets one of the United Nations standards of full-blown ethnic genocide? That's not propaganda. This is coming from the CCP itself, you dumb bitch.
So this is like the left saying everything, blaming everything on the CIA is the leftist version of anti-Semitics blaming everything on Zionism. It's just, it's just like it's basically the same brand. Yeah. Hold on, let me see some member comments. Secular Proton is saying, and what does the EU do in the wake of all these human rights issues in China? They sign a trade deal with China. It's the economy. I have to actually say that it's not the economy all the time, because the US actually has been a little bit better than other countries when it comes to, I mean, they have their own agenda and it's all political, but we have to take what we can get, right?
I will take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. So United States has been good. I think like if United States might be able to lead the charge on this. I hope. I don't know if Biden is probably not going to do the same. We're going to criticize Biden. I suspect Biden is going to be soft on China. Unfortunately, and we're going to be here to criticize.
He said that he was. He said he was taking some of his focus off of the places like the Middle East or whatever, and he was refocusing on China. But what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Seen.
Yeah, but we're going to be ready to either congratulate him or more likely criticize him. We'll see.
We're coming after him. Oh, Horace is saying these are Chinese bots, guys. Okay,
no, these are real people.
Whether or not that's true, that this guy in particular is a Chinese bot, these are attitudes and opinions that I have seen by people that I definitely know are not bots. So even if this one guy was a bot, I'm cussing out everyone else I've seen expressed that crap, because I have seen people who are so far left, so anti-American imperialism, so far with that tanky D down their throat, that they compile threads of how this is a conspiracy, this evidence isn't real, blah, 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 like completely disregarding the fact that China is openly involved in its own imperialist project. This is how far down the leftist rabbit hole they've lost their minds, okay?
That's because they think America is still the best, just like the far right people. It's just they're the opposite side of the coin, right? If we're the best, this should be the best at being the worst and can harbor no discussion. It's all so center of the universe is the United States. It's people oftentimes grew up in freedom, so they spit on it and they don't see it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and then Horace is saying, I know, I was just trying to piss him off.
Yeah, and just to be
Horace,
clear,
you're triggering me. You're triggering me.
This is actually not, this is like, I just wanted to show that this is not only not a bot, this is a friend of mine. this guy with this crappy comment, right? Not only is another bot, he's like, we're friends and we have 25 mutual friends. And yeah, this is guy, I know this guy, so definitely not a bot. So
yeah, Horace is also saying, I love it how these geniuses find out the quote truth in their mom's garage. Like, terrible accent impersonation. Yes. Guys, it's Atheist Pastor has a good comment. Wait, he's saying, I'm getting so sick of quote unquote woke Americans making every issue about themselves. It's insulting to people around the world who are actually suffering throughout the world. Yes.
Perfect summary.
Enough with the Wokistani Mujahideen. Enough.
Ex-friend now.
Did you read the troll one?
This is basically what Rivka was saying many American left-wingers seem to think that the way to fight American imperialism is to support Russian, Chinese, and Iranian imperialism. #moronocracy.
Right.
Yes.
Those
all right, we do need
a dose of North Korea is what they need.
No, nobody needs
It's a joke.
I know. Okay, we do need to move to the next news.
Okay.
Can we clap?
Yes, we can clap for the final news items.
Next news.
Next news. German church finally says sorry for the quote-unquote bleeding wound of witch burning. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, about 25,000 people, mostly women, but also including men and children, were persecuted or killed on allegations of witchcraft in German lands. After 400 years of near silence from the Catholic diocese, German Bishop Gregor Maria Hanke called it, quote, a bleeding wound on the history of our church. He pledged to place a memorial plaque commemorating victims in the local cathedral. One campaigner who worked to hold the church accountable for its past was retired German pastor Hartmut Hegler. He said, quote, the church was scared of the Reformation and the witch trials were a means to combat it, end quote, adding that those who turned away from Catholicism were, quote, labeled as in league with the devil, end quote. Since 2011, over 50 German towns have apologized for their history of witch burning.
I was going to say that, yeah, they were afraid of the the Reformation, but also I think it was definitely a message, especially to women, about how the church feels about you, what your place in the world is, and who you are. Because let's not forget, there was a witch hunting manual put out by the church called the Malefice Maleficarum, and the very first line of that manual is, evil is in women incarnate.
Uh-oh.
So you have this whole sort of overarching, mythos and mission statement, definitely turning away from the church, but also so similar to the blasphemy charges or charges of, heresy in a lot of countries like Pakistan or in Nigeria. You have neighbors who have beef with each other, somebody coveting someone's property, someone angry about something having nothing to do with the religion, being able to use this and know that it's going to work because you have a whole society that has this similar mindset, and the government and the church, which are kind of one at that time, are pushing this narrative as well. It's a real good control mechanism and elitists taking power mechanism and, mechanism for, sadists.
So I think the title. Okay, so German church finally says sorry for witch burning. I think it should be basically we German church finally is forced to recognize that they're morally so far behind modern society that they have been forced to admit how evil they used to be, but would have continued to be if they weren't being dragged kicking and screaming into superior moral and ethical values than the church has ever provided. That would be the actual summary.
I think that's what they call TLI, too long, TLFI, too long for the internet.
Yes.
But I just want to say one more thing about this is that the other thing that people fail to remember at how much this devastated some communities, literally devastated them. And we know a lot about it because they kept a lot of records and they would talk about it, and all the instruments of torture that were invented specifically at this time. So it's an industry as well as ideology, because there's the church and the witch burners and the torturers. So all these tertiary industries, and how it devastated these towns, and the sense of fear that so many people had. But also, I just really want to talk about the knowledge that was lost to people. And this goes for all kinds of these types of, mass genocide isn't quite the right word, but is that there's all these things that people could have brought to society, could have contributed, things that we'll never know, because this whole group, particularly of women, who a lot of them happen to have been midwives and other things. So a lot of plant knowledge, a lot of historical knowledge, a lot of, just personal songs, fairy tales, all kinds of things gone like that.
Man, how many times does Armin have to pee during this episode?
I don't know. Maybe he's checking on the cats again. That was some crazy sounding cats.
Yeah, I also didn't realize just the numbers. It said, so between the 15th and 18th century is 25,000 people in Germany alone. But then in the article I saw, it was 60,000 throughout the entirety of Europe, including England.
Mm-hmm. And some of the most, the witch burnings that happened even into the 20th century, there have been some, isolated cases, but and then we see the witch crazy stuff happening in a lot of places in Africa as well. And it's just, you can't defend yourself either, because if you say no, it's proof of that you did it. If you say yes, you're also punished. When they would throw you into the water and, just test to see if you were a witch.
Yeah.
Even if you were exonerated by how the body reacted, you still are dead.
Yeah. And Fatima was saying, once again, women take over. So, and this is something that I wanted to highlight in this news, is that, okay, this happened 400 years ago. Obviously, the German church needed to get with the times and acknowledge what it did. But like Rivka just mentioned, this still happens today. This is a very widely spread practice in parts of Western Africa in particular, like Ghana and Nigeria. And this is why I encourage everyone to go look up and support the work of Leo Igwe, who is an amazing activist. And he has a project for people who are accused of witchcraft. And the persecution of alleged witches in Nigeria and Ghana is extremely severe, and I wish it was highlighted more. Like Rivka was mentioning, throwing them in the water. Literally, in one area that Leo works, they used to just go throw people in a river and see if the crocodiles ate you. And if they didn't, then you were innocent. That only stopped because of areas in the environment and the crocodiles died out, right? And so we still need to actively fight against such superstitious beliefs like this. And in areas like Nigeria and Ghana, this is still pushed forward by Christianity, specifically.
Yeah,
and so-called prophets.
It's so clear when you look at these kind of things as they repeat themselves, that one of the ways that we can really work to end this type of dangerous superstition, or like the sacrificing, your child or your nephew, all of it depends on critical thinking. I think that needs to start in primary school, teaching kids how to understand a real argument, how to ask real questions. And I think Leo actually had some textbooks or primers about critical thinking for kids. And I think
he literally does critical thinking education for children in Nigeria. It's
exactly.
so awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we do need to. I'm going to highlight some member comments, YouTube member comments, before we move to the next news. Troll saying the context of those numbers is that the population was very smaller back then. So today that might be the equivalent of hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Wow,
That's a very
okay.
good point.
Well, I think hundreds of thousands, but not millions. We'll see. Hossein is saying it's crazy because witch burning isn't even fundamental. Imagine how many women were stoned. Like the what is this?
I
don't know
have
what to-
no idea what that
But
word is.
I think killing witch is in the witches is in the Old Testament. So it is. I mean, it is part of.
Well, they're pagans, so
Yeah.
if you're in a monotheistic mindset, then anybody who's not.
Bish is saying to think it's as old, if not older, than when.
Hypatia.
I love this woman. What do you say? I know.
Hypatia.
Hypatia.
Hypatia of Alexandria. There's a movie about her called Agora. Go watch it. Mathematician astronomer was accused of witchcraft by Christian fanatics and was killed for it. Well, she wasn't accused of. She was accused of paganism. Yeah, so close enough. What else? Yeah, that was it. Okay. Yes, we should go to the next news, and it's really good news. Thank you for Susanna for putting this at the end to make it. Yeah, I love this. Okay, next news.
Argentina becomes the first large Latin American country to legalize abortion.
Yay! Good news.
I was waiting for
Sisters doing it for themselves.
Good news for Argentina. Suck it, Pope.
Yay!
Suck it, Pope Francis. Look what's
Oh.
happening to your country. Go on.
Oh, woof. Don't threaten him with that. After an overnight vote, Argentina became the biggest country in Latin America to legalize elective abortions on Wednesday, December 30th. The measure passed through the Senate with a vote of 38 in favor and 29 in opposition. The shift in attitudes has been attributed to the declining support for religious influence in governance and women's rights activists' growing power. It has been estimated that a minimum of 350,000 secret abortions happened yearly in Argentina, and women who have undergone such procedures no longer have to fear legal prosecution. Horace, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to read that comment. Okay. In 2019, 62.9% of the Argentine population identified as Catholic, which is a 13.6 percentage point drop since 2008. Simultaneously, the portion of people identifying with no religion grew to nearly 20% of the population. Argentina's large Catholic and evangelical Christian population will likely fight to overturn this measure. Pro-choice activists celebrated the victory with large demonstrations across the nation and other neighboring Latin countries. So congratulations to our people in Argentina.
Mazel tov, Argentina. Mazel tov.
Guys, this might actually set a good precedent for all the other Latino countries, right? So I hope so. Let's look at some of the comments. So Nair saying, guys, all the lecturing regarding don't be proud of things you haven't accomplished, just all of that applies, but I'm just going to read the comments. Nair saying, I am proud of my country in this regard. There has never been a ban on abortion ever. Oh, this is a different country. Okay, so never mind that. Maria saying, one of the few times I can be proud of my country. With any luck, complete separation of church and state will follow. The fact that the country, the Latino country that is moving ahead, ahead of every other Latino country, is the one that we have a pope from right now. It's just such poetic irony. It's beautiful.
And the first pope from South America.
Okay.
Doorknob had made a comment before saying, too bad it couldn't have happened on December 25th.
Yeah, that would have been even more.
We're bold, but we're not that bold.
Yeah. Somebody saying very good, guys. You should have seen the celebration. I don't know if we should have prepared some videos. There were so many women in Argentina, and like they were dancing in the street. It was beautiful, and there was like a whole bunch of Catholics there also. Like, Catholic salt is the prices of Catholic salt is dropping because there's
Can
so
I
many
get a
people.
little?
Yes. Collect your salt. Where's the salt collectors? Salt collectors. Catholic tears. Catholic
Tastes
tears.
like
Collect
tastes
them.
like
Yes, guys, collect them while the
water.
prices are low. Okay, so
Tastes like Jesus.
tastes like yeah, a bit of hint of wine. All right, women's bodies. Women choice, the bad thing. This is right. Okay, I can't even read this, guys. I don't like this defense of choice.
Yeah, we can't get into why this
We
is.
can't get into that. Congratulations to Argentina and its women. Yes, good one. Only few times I was proud of my country. This time is one of them. Yeah, I don't like that message, but fine, whatever. I get okay. So there's another message here. I guess this is an unpopular opinion, but does the father get a say in it at all? Honest question. I thought it's just a question. Don't mind it. All right, cool.
Horace is calling us sadists for our love of the salty tears.
Salt.
No, this
Guys,
is
there was a
awesome. I
whole
saw
bunch-
this brings a lot of love and excitement to women across Latin America. I follow a lot of DJs, female DJs from Chile, and they were just having parties in Chile. They're just like, yeah, everyone's wearing green, everyone's like behind the DJ booth, like turn up. It's really exciting.
Oh, yeah, this is the comment that I was looking for, because there's a lot of it. The amount of thieving from Christians and right wingers on Instagram was glorious to see. Yes, it was but Catholic butthurt was all over the place, and also Christian conservatives. Yes, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, I follow a lot of pro-life accounts and Catholic militant accounts on my burner Instagram. And they were talking about how this basically is such a blow to like pro-life people that it basically said that it creates a threatening environment for them.
Oh, it's a microaggression?
Like that's basically
I never use the term pro-life because that's a win for that side when we do, because what that is controlling the narrative, controlling the debate. So anyone who disagrees with them is pro-death, is anti-life. That's a specific move on their part.
Well, Armin is.
But what's interesting is, though, I have this conversation and people ask me, are you pro-life? And I say, yes, I am. Oh, so you're against abortion, legalized abortion? No, I'm not. Well, so it forces that conversation because nobody's really pro-death except for, a few people with some unfortunate brain chemistry. But, so anyways, I didn't mean to lecture you about it. I was just, it wasn't that way. I'm just saying, I just never use that term. I'm not going to give them that win.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with your argument. It's just, what people most popularly know
to them. So yeah, I just say anti-abortion activists. Yes, common parlance.
All right. So before we go, I have to let people know to make sure that they go to Harris Sultan's channel. There's a live stream. There's going to be a live stream coming up in 6 hours to Harris Sultan. It's called Sultan's House of Sin, episode 36. And just look at how, guys, look, I like the video, so make sure you like this video. I'm subscribed, and I also have hit the bell notification, right? So do that with this one as well, okay?
Guys, that's how easy it is. That is how easy it is.
Look, I'm going to unsubscribe and then subscribe again so you can see how easy it is. It is like this.
Wait, but then show them how easy it is to hit that bell.
Yeah, make sure you hit the bell, but make sure it shouldn't be. No, this is bad. It shouldn't be personalized. It should hit all like that. Yes, there you go. Do that. All right. So
and please don't forget to write and call and tweet embassies, the Tanzanian embassy, the embassy in your country of residence, Australian government about Zara's urgent call to action to have all the charges dropped immediately and allow her to leave the country.
Thank you, Rivka. You took the words right out of my mouth. And join our Canadian consulates if you want to join me tomorrow morning on an urgent action meeting where we're going to be brainstorming about how our community can rally behind Zara. So to do that, go to our websites, look for our consulates.
Katie saying the best thing about Rivka is her comments with a straight face. Ghost Bunny saying, love you guys. You all looking extraordinary sexy tonight. I'd like to add that Armin is looking just so frigging delicious.
Whoa.
Wow. Thank you, Ghost Bunny.
And then Horace is saying,
you hear how his voice changed? He's like, thank you, Ghost Bunny.
yeah. Horace is saying, I got a notification that Armin unsubscribed.
Well, I subscribe right back. I was trying to make. Oh, never mind. Wait, you don't get actually no, you don't get a notification. I'm that special. You get a specific. You get a specific. No, that's how special I am. You get a specific notification at the great loss that your channel has had, right?
Just
like you just like.
Pierced in the heart, bro.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm just saying, Rivka, there's also anti-natals who are kind of anti-life, but it's separate ideology. Yeah. But those are,
I don't think you should ever be born at all.
Yes. I was joking. Yes. I get it. Maybe the reason why I don't get your jokes, Sultan, Mr. Sultan, is that they're not funny.
Except he was funny, and it made me.
They're just not that funny. Okay, that's why. No. Okay.
Plot twist.
No. Yes, Maggie. Yes.
The denouement.
I love that Armin is like actually triggered.
Susanna gets them that all that matters. Sure.
Thank you, Horace.
Ain't to stream without
ain't to stream without getting Armin triggered.
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, do the dingy thing, and it's Hikmah, it's Dharma. You go to hell if you don't subscribe. Get everybody, every single one of you, go get 10 other people to subscribe to our channel. Ask your friends, ask your children, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, ask your enemies to come and like. Ask your enemies, ask people who hate us to come and like our videos. Don't tell them that it helps with engagement. Just do all the buttons below. Hit the subscribe, the like, the unlike, the notification bell. Do which ones? All of them. Every single one of them. And get our book, Why There's No God. Get that for free. Subscribe to our newsletter so you get the free copy of Why There's No God. Link in the description. And go do all the Zara K stuff. Do it. Go do it. Do it now. Do it now. Why are you waiting? Do it. Bye.